Hello everyone. In this video, we are joined by Aditi Wardhan Singh. Raised on the borders of Kuwait and India, she is now raising children who are American by birth and Indian by heritage. Identifying herself as a global citizen has led her to create multiple resources for multicultural families. She's a multiple best-selling and award-winning author and founder of Raising World Children. Through her work and support of other authors like herself, she aims to shape our futures with more diverse voices. Please give a warm welcome to Aditi as she shares with us how to help our kids grow positive and empathetic after COVID-19. Hi, Aditi.
Hi, Jacob. Thank you so much for this opportunity. Yay! I'm so excited to be meeting people via these Zoom calls and creating conversation that is so important for this time.
Totally
Uh,
agree.
it is so difficult, especially parents are floundering because it is a completely new situation. I myself have been through the Gulf War when I was 10, so I can kind of relate to what my kids are going through, surprisingly, which is very interesting. And that is something I would like to bring home through this conversation.
Amazing.
So I wanted to talk to the parents out here because we are going to be trying to get them to help their children build a positive and empathetic mindset through this process because this is a trauma. I mean, people are talking about how amazing it is and how much free time they have and how different life is. But the fact of the matter is that it is a different kind of life. We don't know when it's going to end. We don't know what's happening. Nothing is in our control, and I think kids feel that too. And I think we don't give enough credit to the fact that we are all experiencing a lot of highs and lows at the same time. And if we want our children to build a positive mindset and understand the world better, at the end of this we need to be talking to them through this as well. It is very daunting for us parents because I don't know if you have kids.
I do. I have a daughter. She's 2.
Oh, okay. That's wonderful. So you can relate to this. A lot of times we end up giving them more screen time, and we end up bashing ourselves about it. And we are constantly worried and talking about what's happening and talking about all the concerns that are going on. And it is very difficult for us to be a good leader in terms of how we're setting an example for the children, because if the more negative environment we build up, the more they can feel those vibes.
Mm-hmm.
And it is essential that we build a safe space for them to vent their feelings, to let go, to explore this new situation in their own way. We kind of trying, some are trying to like completely homeschool their kids, some have got this rigorous schedule, and everyone's trying to micromanage their life. But the fact is that we cannot micromanage it. It is very difficult. It is best to have a framework. So that's what I would like to start talking about is, as a parent, what you need to do is have a framework and be flexible within that. Forgive yourself what you cannot do. Forgive yourself those kids having that extra screen time. Forgive your kids venting out, sometimes being cranky, because often it is very difficult for them to express the nervousness they feel inside. My kids are kind of like me. They talk a lot, they express themselves a lot. So we have these constant conversations about how much we're missing our friends, how much we are how difficult it is. Every week I have once when my daughter comes to me crying and she says she misses her friends, she misses school, she misses getting on the bus, she misses hugging the bus driver. And that is when my kids are verbal. And I know there are a lot of kids out there who are not. And I think a big part of building a positive and empathetic mindset is having those conversations, giving our kids the freedom in which they can express themselves in whichever way they choose, be it writing, be it speaking to us, be it maybe just even, just yelling out or being not themselves. Maybe they just need some extra screen time because, sometimes you need the peace too. And you're in a work call, and the kids are going to end up having extra gadget time. And that's the second thing I would like to talk about is forgive yourself and forgive them for that extra things that you wouldn't normally allow, because these are not normal circumstances. You are going to be doing things you didn't think were okay. You are going to have to say yes to things. You might end up giving them extra candy to, just do your thing. If you do this, I'll do this. I know overall bribing is not okay. I don't endorse it either. But unprecedented times call for unprecedented solutions. and you need to understand that, it's okay, those things are okay to do. Another thing is that the third thing I would like to talk about is instructions. Rather than micromanaging your child, give them a set of instructions every night. Talk to them about what is expected of them the next day. Let them build a little bit of responsibility within. Let them understand what to expect, rather than telling them, oh, you need to do this much of math and this much of science and this sheet and this workbook. Let them have that space where they can take that bit of responsibility on themselves. So maybe write it down in a place and have them tick them off. Some kids flourish when they do this. My son also, for the example, he enjoys just ticking those things off the list, that, oh, I have done this, I have done this.
Mm.
And that helps them take, when you take ownership of actions, it kind of also helps you build a positive mindset uh, to that. The fourth thing I would like to talk about is getting that exercise in for the kids. I know we're all working, I know it's difficult, but the least you can do is sit next to a window, let them out, let them get the sun, let them run around, let them get that energy out. Because trust me, I'm sorry, those that energy is not just about sitting pent up, or getting the body flowing. Like I was telling my son that he was like, my body is aching and spaining. And every morning for taekwondo class, they have this half an hour class instead of the 1 hour usual. And he'd be like, no, my body's paining. And I explained to him, I said, you are used to going to school from 7 in the morning to 3 in the evening. Your body is used to a different kind of life. Now you're
Mhm.
pretty much sitting, or you're just doing your own thing. Your body is not used to that, so it is fighting back, it is adjusting. And since you're growing, you need to get more exercise in on your
Mhm.
own. And that really made a huge difference to him. He likes going for walks now. My husband will take them up sometimes. I take him for walks, and my husband takes him for a run sometimes. Both my kids. We have a dog too, so they'll enjoy doing that. If you have a dog, I think it kind of works out, because if you're going for a walk for the dog, might as well take the kids too. And we have a lot of resources on our website. We have tons of resources about exercising, and different ways. You could the kids can do ballet on YouTube. YouTube is great right now. A lot of people are giving classes. There are a lot of Zoom. You can just sign them up for it and
Mhm.
have them do a workout, a dance maybe, or learn taekwondo or something like that. That's great. uh, One thing that fifth thing I would like to talk about is the talking to our kids about the dangers that are around us. Now, a lot of us want to protect our kids. A lot of us want to make sure our kids are safe and protected. So we don't tell them everything. But I think to build an empathetic understanding of the world, we should talk to them about what's happening around the world. By that,
Mhm.
I mean, in India right now, there are a lot of families that are walking hundreds and thousands of miles home because they don't have food, they don't have employment, they have nowhere else to go. So they're going back home with small kids, and it's devastating to watch, and it's horrible. A lot of people, even in US, are unemployed. There are many videos that are circulating which are showing the state the people are in. I don't tell you to share this to scare the children, but they need to understand that they're in a position of privilege where touch wood, if we have safe homes, if we have food, if we have comfort, we are very blessed. Yes, it is
Mhm.
inconveniencing us. Yes, it is very difficult to wash your hands every 5 minutes, to stay indoors, to stay away from our neighbors. It is difficult. Yes, I understand that. But you need to talk to them about how much more difficult it is for others. And that is how they can see the world and understand. You don't necessarily have to talk to them about the deaths. I wouldn't. But that's your choice, of course, as a parent. But I would still say, talk about the racism that's happening because of all this that is going on. It is not coming from people uh, who are being mean for the sake of being mean. It is coming from a place of fear, and we need to talk to our kids about dealing with fears that
Mhm.
arise, because kids are very easy to pick up. Oh, it's a Chinese virus, and it's or any other thing. Sorry, that just came off the top of my head.
Yeah.
But it's just a way of not labeling things. It's not about this or that way of things, because we don't want to make our kids feel that it is okay to shun a certain community or talk badly
Mhm.
of a person, just because their country has been the origin of something or something like that. So that is where I think reading different kind of books comes in, which is the sixth thing that I would like to talk about, is read as many diverse books as you can to your children, not just about science, not just about math, not just about non-fiction, not just about stories, but about cultures and traditions and different ways of life, different ways of thinking. uh, Search for authors who are of a diverse voice like myself, who are trying to share their culture to build to build more empathy. Like my book How Our Skin Sparkles talks about how we can use science and culture in a balanced way to teach our kids about how we all may look different, but we are all same inside. And this ties
Mhm.
in with, teaching our kids to be against prejudice of any kind. And it's to prevent bullying, because the world that we walk into now is going to have some of that arise, because kids, unfortunately, they pick up things from people around them. Doesn't have to be their parents. It could be how a friend who speaks negatively, or it could be an uncle who speaks negatively, or grandparents who don't mean to, but they just say things flippantly, not realizing that kids are around. So we need to empower our children to understand that these things are said out of fear or out of a misplaced sense of anger, and not necessarily directed at that person who's in front of them. The next thing I would like to talk about is have faith. That's the seventh thing I would like to talk about, is please have faith. Please talk to your kids about having faith through everything. I know it is very difficult, as I mean, I find myself floundering a lot of times. I find myself having a couple of days of depression every 2 weeks, wherein I'm completely unproductive. I'm completely feeling helpless because some piece of news has come which completely walks me, or I see a video online, or I see someone ranting online where I'm like, you just need to stay home. And there are people out there who are like, really upset, getting uh, into trouble or having no food or whatever. And people are
Mhm.
dying, and they're like, oh, this is, this would be better than that. But there is no this or that. It is all of us together, and we all are in this together. And we need to have faith in each other and in humanity, and especially in God, that in the end everything is going to be okay. And if it's not okay, it's not the end. So make sure that you give your children all the tools that you can to empower them, to protect them, to let them know that being positive is about accepting what we are feeling and processing it, taking the time to process it,
Mhm.
and then using it to find ways to help others. And when we help others is when we can be kinder and gentler and more positive. I would like to share a little bit about my uh, when I was 10 during the Gulf War. I was a kid, and we were five families living in an apartment because we didn't have a way to go out. So it was around 3 to 4 weeks of us. We are in the war zone, and there is very less food, and my parents were obviously nervous and scared. But and I was the only kid in that five family house.
Wow.
But as a kid, I remember looking at the dark skies, because there was a lot of smoke, of course, because of the bombs that were going off around us. And I remember not feeling scared. I remember having the space to just be myself. My mom didn't force me to study. She didn't expect me. She knew I was sliding in my studies. I did fail when I went back to school in my fifth grade. But there was no pressure. I could just be a child. And I think we need to allow our kids to do that, just be children. Guide them as best as you can, but allow them the space to just be themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially with times like it is right now. I mean, there's so much going on. Like it's just a whirlwind of things. People are
Right,
coming on every day saying this and saying that. But it's
right,
all about how we frame our minds around the situation that's
right.
happening and how
Yeah,
we give that information to our kids, right?
yes,
Like
yes,
we can either look at it like, okay, this is something really negative that's happening, or this is a time that you can grow and like this is what we're learning in this
yes,
situation, which I think
yes.
is really important, especially in your story
Yeah.
about living through the war. I mean,
Mhm.
that's a crazy story. Like I couldn't even imagine that happening to me. Like
Mhm.
I would probably freak out if I saw like bombs and stuff going off. Like I would flip. But
Yes.
another thing I just wanted to kind of tie back to was in the beginning you talked a little bit about setting a framework but not
Mhm.
micromanaging. Now,
Right.
some people, they may not have specific routines. This may be something completely new to them. How
Mhm.
would you suggest that they start building a framework with their children within their family to make them more empathetic?
Oh, that's a great question. So I'll speak for my example. This is how my day kind of goes. I have meetings scheduled. I have my writing work that I need to do. The night before I plan what I need to do, and then I plan out what my kids would need to do to get through the next day. So supposing I have decided that, oh, they're going to do the schoolwork, because schoolwork is optional in our area. Some people don't have that benefit, but we do. Our school has said that everything is optional. You want to do it, you do it. So sometimes I have them do worksheets. Sometimes I just let them do arts and craft. But just make sure you plan the day before. Make sure you have one activity. You have the basic necessities, of course. I'm huge on chores, so my kids have chores. They do the dishwasher, they vacuum, whatever little they clean their rooms. So any one activity of responsibility, one activity for exercise, maybe twice, morning and evening. So basically, activities for yourself and for the children. And like I said, how it works for me is I say that this is the time period in which these things are going to be done. So I have on my fridge, I have a paper on which
Mhm.
those things are written down on dry eraser, and then my kids can just tick it off. So it gives them the freedom to, uh, get the joy of ticking it off, and the freedom to not know when it's going to happen. So sometimes they say, oh, no, right now we just want to watch TV. We don't want to do anything. So I'll be like, okay, fine. You get half an hour of TV, and then this needs to be done. By the time I'll get into my call, like right now, my daughter's waiting for me outside this room because she wants to have a tea party. So I told her, okay, let me get out of this call, and then by that time you finish playing in your room, you clean up your closet that you were supposed to, and then I'll come out and we'll do our thing. So those kind of things. So a framework is basically wherein you know what needs to be done, but you don't have a time allotted to it. So the uh, frustration of the minute by minute planning gets taken away. Now again,
Mhm.
some people flourish on micromanagement, which is great. But then for kids, I kind of feel that we need to allow them to be kids a little bit in this time. I
Mhm.
feel unfortunately, because we are at this, we are so overwhelmed with our work plus the kids work that needs to be done, which where we feel like, oh, we need to do this. But the fact is, like I said, just forgive yourself what you cannot do. There are things you can let go of them. Trust me, it's not going to, haunt you like a ghost. It doesn't matter. Unless it's a deadline, stick to your deadlines. But other than that, if you can deprioritize something, make sure you have that plan too, that these are things I can just push off to another day.
That's amazing. So just as we kind of end off the presentation here, what would be one piece of advice that you would give to anyone who's watching this seminar right now?
I would say try to stay positive. I am huge on allowing yourself to be forgiven, because I find it very hard to do on myself. I am extremely hard on myself. I have a lot of plans. I am huge on goal making, and when they don't get successful or I'm not able to work on them, I take it hard on myself. But every few days, I give myself the time to reprocess, reprioritize, and make sure that you know what you're doing and why you're doing it. Having a why in place makes everything else work out. So if
Mm.
your why is that my why is that my kids come first no matter what. So if my work, because touch wood, I am lucky enough to choose to work my work around my kids. So if something takes precedence, I push it back. But not everyone has that luxury. So if you can choose to let go of something, it's okay. Let forgive yourself for what you cannot do, and be very proud of whatever you're getting done right now. Remember to give yourself a pat on the back, because
Hmm.
you deserve it, and so do your kids.
Totally, totally agree with that. That's amazing advice. Where can people find you?
You can find me at raisingworldchildren.com. You can email me any articles that you have about this topic. I would love to share them for other parents to empower them on their journey, because we are a global online and in print platform for parents by parents. I also help writers become best-selling authors. So if you have a book in you and you would like to build a brand, come talk to me again at contact@raisingworldchildren.com. I would love to have you. I also do cultural story time. So if you have kids who would like to spend some time listening to a story with wise lessons attached to it, dance a little, have a small activity. It's like a 30-minute thing I do every Wednesday. Feel free to follow us on Raising World Children at Facebook, on Facebook.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Aditi. That was an amazing presentation. I'm sure our listeners will get amazing value out of that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. I am so glad to be associated with you on this amazing summit, which is bringing so much value and helping out the Red Cross. It is incredible. Thank you so much.